This airplane and many like it were used to train pilots for the United States Marine Corps, for the Navy, for the Air Force, and even fixed wing for the Army.
The T-28 was used in Vietnam as an attack aircraft. It was air-to-ground mostly. It carried 50 caliber rounds. It had Mark 81s, Mark 82s, and 2.75 rockets. T-28 was important because it's too dumb to die. One of the things about the big, huge radial engine is if you lose one of those cylinders, you still have 8 others that you can actually fly with.
Well, she was a workhorse. The T-28 was, like I say, was a trainer. She's designed to be misused and abused, ridden hard and put up wet.
And to think that I'm working on an aircraft that's had that kind of history to help protect our guys, just to be able to be a part of this is very inspiring. And I'm hoping that this may inspire someone else to be a part, either military or be a part of the service, or just to be a part of aircraft and aviation.
All great discoveries are made by mistake. We were contacted by the Marine Corps and by a private owner because he knew we had 2 of the other T-28s and said, hey, there's a whole bunch of parts sitting up near the Chicago area. Plane isn't complete, but it's in parts. They're selling it off piece by piece, and the aircraft is worth more dead than alive. Do you guys want to take that on as a project?
Well, actually, this project started back in November of 2010 when me, myself, and another group of guys went up and retrieved the aircraft from Rockford, Illinois.
He said he was going to go to Rockford, Illinois to go get this old airplane out of storage at Mark Clark's place at Courtesy Aircraft. And we drove up there and froze my Okole off. And 2 years later, here we are.
You folks have done an excellent job of getting everything here and getting it spread out on the hangar deck. What we're going to do is we're going to go out there and start identifying components by sub-assemblies. We were able to, within the first probably 4 to 6 hours, identify components into major sub-assemblies. This is the flying tail assembly, this is a vertical stabilizer and the rudder. This is a horizontal stabilizer and the elevator, left side, right side. Put those on a pallet, let's get them outside. So challenging, nothing that we couldn't overcome, but challenging.
It literally is a huge, big model metal aircraft that is held together with bolts instead of tester's glue. So in the processes of doing all that, it's been separating into sub-assemblies and then bolting all that stuff together.
One of the most interesting parts is that it came from several different T-28s. And one of them, the tail section, that gray behind the cockpit, came from an airplane that went to Cambodia. It's interesting history. You can still see part of the original Cambodian markings.
Ended up with the Royal Cambodian Air Force under a guy named Lon Nol, this colorful character of the period. And he didn't really have allegiances with any one particular, so he was, he would get people's like Russia would give him airplanes, and then the U.S. would go, nah, you want to try our airplanes, and he would try to, but he wouldn't, have an allegiance for any one, country's influence.
How it got to this plane, we still don't know. The engine actually served on the USS Lake Champlain and the USS Midway. The engine was on the USS Lake Champlain in 60-61 when they pulled Alan Shepard out of the water with Freedom 7. So it was on the USS Lake Champlain at the same time. The engine was on the USS Midway, and Midway was responsible for the first MiGs and the last MiGs that were destroyed in the air during Vietnam. The fuselage itself served with the VT-3 and VT-6, that's the shooters and the Red Knights.
It's like putting a puzzle together and then taking it back apart and then stripping every little single piece, bringing it back to new condition, and then putting it all back together.
The major subassemblies went together. I think Gary had said every time we went to do something and it appeared it was simple, it wasn't right.